Today's video is all about Instant Pots, so if you have one or are looking to buy one, this video is going to be for you. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So myself, I have 2 Instant Pots because I cook a lot and have zero chill. However, one of the comments I see a lot on social media and I hear from people when chatting with them in the comments is that they either have an Instant Pot and they are too scared to remove it from the box, so maybe it's still sitting in its box somewhere in a closet. Maybe they've used it once or twice, they don't quite feel comfortable with it, or maybe they've never used it at all and they're a little bit scared of it. Well, if so, today's video is for you because I have got some super duper easy recipes I'm going to share with you that anyone, yes anyone, can make in an Instant Pot. Today's video is also sponsored by Rocket Money. A little bit more about them later in the video. These recipes also happen to have very minimal ingredients. All of them have around 5 ingredients or less, so they are definitely simple to put together. And if you've never used your Instant Pot before, I would encourage you to try it because it really is a time saver on those busy weeknights that we all have as busy working people or parents. First up, we're gonna make some super easy buffalo chicken wraps. These can be done either in tortillas or lettuce wraps. I serve them with blue cheese crumbles and ranch. They are really delicious. I'm also going to share a really easy chicken noodle soup that you can do right in the Instant Pot as well. I'm also going to be sharing a super easy salmon and rice with cucumber salad, which is so simple to make and everyone loves it. Lastly, we are going to make a Tuscan beef stew. I've made this recipe several times in the Instant Pot and it is always a crowd pleaser and it's just kind of a different twist on the traditional beef stew. Okay, so the next recipe that we are going to make is buffalo chicken wrap. So here I've got some flour tortillas. You can either use flour tortillas or lettuce wraps with this. And then I've also got some chicken breasts and chicken thighs. I've got 4 chicken breasts and 2 chicken thighs. I've got some blue cheese. This is optional. And then I've got some lettuce for the wraps, and then Frank's Red Hot ranch for serving, and then 1 cup of chicken broth. So if you're gonna do a true 5 ingredient meal, I would probably, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. You could definitely leave the blue cheese out, and then you could use water instead of chicken broth, and then just season it with extra salt and pepper, and then you'd have your 5 ingredients. But I just wanted to give you a couple of different options in case you want to do something different. So I've got my chicken in the bottom of my Instant Pot. I'm gonna add my 1 cup of chicken broth. I'm gonna put the lid on. And then I'm gonna cook this on manual, which is high pressure, for 12 minutes. All right, so the chicken's done. I went ahead and drained out probably about, well, almost all of the liquid except for a 1/4 cup, just to make sure it stays moist. And I'm just gonna use one of my meat choppers to shred the chicken. You could also use a hand mixer if you wanted to, but typically this is pretty tender, so it just shreds right apart using this or a couple forks. And then once that's shredded, I'm gonna stir in my 1 cup of buffalo sauce. Okay, I'm gonna add my buffalo sauce. I had a little less than 1 cup just because that's all I had left in the bottle, but it's fine. I'm just gonna stir this up, and I just have this on keep warm just to make sure that the chicken stays warm. All right, so here's how these wraps turned out. Adam says they're more like tacos, but whatever. I mean, you could put it in a big tortilla and do a wrap, but I put the buffalo chicken on there, drizzled some ranch, some extra Frank's Red Hot, and some lettuce. Like I said, you could put other things on these. I think green onion would be good, chopped tomatoes, blue cheese if you like it, otherwise regular cheese, but yeah, super easy. Okay, so thank you again to Rocket Money for sponsoring today's video. You guys know that I always share tons of cooking tips and meal planning tips here on my channel. And part of the reason I love to do that is because it really does save us a lot of money by eating at home versus getting takeout. Obviously, using your Instant Pot is one of those ways where you can save a ton of money by creating delicious dishes at home in way less time. If you're not familiar with Rocket Money, they are an all-in-one finance platform that helps you save more and spend less. The personal finance manager allows you to manage subscriptions, lower bills, monitor your credit score, and build your savings all in one place. I personally am really excited to recommend Rocket Money to you guys here on my channel because I use it personally for one of my checking accounts and I just find it so incredibly helpful. I have struggled before to create budgets and track subscriptions by using paper and spreadsheets, and even back in the day I used Quicken and QuickBooks, but Rocket Money is just so much easier to have everything all in one place. place. The app is really easy to use. And the reason I like it is because it really gives you a good analysis of your spending habits. That way you can make smarter decisions about how you spend and save your money. One of the things that's great about Rocket Money is that it helps you to cancel unwanted subscriptions. Rocket Money safely and securely identifies recurring charges and cancels unwanted subscriptions for you, all with just a tap. You never have to get on the phone to try to hunt down the cancel button. Rocket Money does all the hard work for you. The other thing I love about Rocket Money is that they can also set budgets that automatically monitor your spending by category, so you can get friendly notifications when you've exceeded them, and you can visualize your spend to earn ratio by month, quarter, or year. This is also very helpful for me. Obviously, it's helpful to have that data to make smarter decisions going forward. And you can also monitor your credit score. With complete access to your credit reports and history, Rocket Money alerts you of important changes that impact your score and offers you insights on ways to improve it, which is just an awesome added bonus. Rocket Money is trusted by, guess how many? 3.4 million users, and it makes sense because it's awesome. And like I said, I use it myself and I totally recommend it. So if you guys want to try out Rocket Money for free, and you can also unlock more features with premium, you can head over to rocketmoney.com/Jen Chapin. That's rocketmoney.com/Jen Chapin. Obviously, I'll have the link in the description box below, so be sure that you check that out. If you're looking to get better control of your spending and your finances, I just cannot recommend Rocket Money enough. Thank you again to Rocket Money for sponsoring today's video.
Okay, so we are going to make some 5-ingredient chicken noodle soup in the Instant Pot. Here are the ingredients I have for this recipe. I have 1 whole chicken. You could also use regular chicken on the bone if you wanted to, or chicken breasts or chicken thighs. I also have some egg noodles, about 2 cups of those, some carrots, some fresh parsley, and some celery. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to cook my chicken. So since I have a whole chicken, I'm going to place that in my Instant Pot. Okay, so once the chicken is in the pot, I'm going to add about 8 cups of water. Next, I'm going to add some celery, and I'm also going to season this with salt and pepper. I also added some of those parsley stems to the pot, and I'm just going to lock that lid on, and then I will go ahead and cook this on high or manual pressure for 24 minutes, and then I will let it do a natural pressure release just to make sure that when I let the pressure go that it doesn't spew all over the place. Sometimes I do have that problem. But next, what I'm going to do is start cutting up all of my veggies for the soup. Now, in the spirit of 5-ingredient recipes, I did just use carrots and celery and parsley in this particular recipe, but if you have onion and garlic, I think that would make a really great addition as well. And to make it even easier, I'm using baby carrots and just cutting those into bite-sized pieces. Next, I'm going to get my celery cut up. I prefer to chop this in as small of pieces as I can. And honestly, my kids aren't that big of fans of cooked celery, but they did eat it in this soup. Actually, both my kids really like this. So if you have kids at home, even picky kids, I think this is a fantastic Instant Pot recipe for you to try. Super easy, quick, and crowd pleasing. Okay, so here is our chicken after it's done cooking. So you can see there that all of the veggies are cooked, and as a byproduct of cooking the chicken in water, we now have chicken stock to make our chicken noodle soup with. So I'm just going to carefully try to remove this with my tongs and put it into a baking dish and let it cool. I like to let it sit for probably about 10 minutes before I shred the meat off. Next, I'm going to add my egg noodles and my chopped up celery and carrots and put the lid on, and then I'm going to set this on high pressure for 2 minutes. That's all you need for the noodles and the veggies to cook. Once that's done, I'm going to add the shredded chicken in along with some more chopped parsley and give this a stir. At this point, you just want to season it to your taste, so you can add more salt and pepper or whatever you'd like. While that is resting, I'm going to go ahead and make some cheddar biscuits. So in this food processor here, I'm going to add some flour. Next, I'm going to add some baking baking powder, and then I will also add some salt and some sugar. I will have all of these recipes either linked or typed out down below, so don't miss those as well if you're looking for them. Now, this particular recipe is sort of a copycat of the Cheddar Bay biscuits from Red Lobster. If you've never had those before, they're really good. So I'm going to add some cubed cold butter to the food processor, and I also added 3 tablespoons of shortening, and then I'm just going to pulse that until everything comes together. I have about 2 cups of shredded sharp cheddar cheese here, and I'm just going to add that to the food processor as well, and then I will give that a pulse. And after that, you can just add your wet ingredients until it comes together. The food processor makes this super easy to put together. You don't have to knead it, you don't have to roll it out, you don't have to get your counter dirty. Super simple. So I'm going to go ahead and pulse that milk in. You can also use half and half if you don't have milk on hand. And then you just want to drop these onto a baking sheet. I just have a baking sheet lined with parchment paper here, and I'm using one of my cookie scoops. I believe this is like one of those 2 tablespoon cookie scoops. I did try to overfill it a little bit. The original recipe said like a scant 1/4 cup of dough is what you wanted. I wouldn't make them much bigger than that because they will obviously cook quickly on the outside before they have a chance to get done on the inside. But if you've never tried this recipe before, I highly recommend it. It's really good, and it goes really good with any kind of soup. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get my cheddar biscuits into the oven and let those bake. I believe it's at 425. Don't quote me on that. Once again, I'll have the recipe down below. And then after they are out of the oven and they're still hot, you want to brush some melted butter on them. So I have some butter that I melted in a saucepan along with some crushed garlic, and then I put some minced flat leaf parsley in there. So you just want to brush a little bit of these over the top. Don't skip that step because that's what makes these garlicky and delicious. All right, so here is our completed 5-ingredient dinner tonight. We have our delicious homemade chicken noodle soup. Like I said, everyone loved this and it turned out so good. Highly recommended for these chilly nights that we've been having, and then had those Cheddar Bay biscuits on the side. We also made some fruit salad, and this was a delicious hearty dinner. Okay, so next up, I am going to share a recipe for salmon with rice and cucumber salad. I have some basmati rice here that I rinsed and let dry, and I'm just going to toast this up in my Instant Pot in a little bit of olive oil. Now, I'm kind of cheating with this recipe, you guys, because I'm going to make the salmon in the air fryer and I'm making the rice in the Instant Pot, but I did make sure that the entire meal only had 5 ingredients, including the salmon and the cucumber and everything. So give me some grace. With this one, I'm just kidding. So in my pot with my rice, I added some chicken bouillon powder to that, some salt and pepper, and some water. And I'm just going to cook this on high pressure for 6 minutes, let it do a natural pressure release, and you'll have the most perfect, fluffiest rice that you will ever eat. And along with this, we are going to make some cucumber salad. So this original dish is basically sort of like a sushi rice, and then you have this cucumber salad on the side with the salmon on top. It's really good. Even if you like sushi, even if you don't like sushi, actually, I would try it. My kids ate this recipe up. My kids love salmon and they love cucumbers and they love rice. So any combination of that is definitely good. But I'm just basically cutting this cucumber in half and slicing it into half moons and getting it into a bowl. Okay, so in with the cucumbers, I'm going to add some rice vinegar and some sesame oil. You wouldn't think that this dish would be so delicious with just these simple flavors, but I assure you that it is. So after I added the sesame oil, I'm going to season it with salt and pepper and just give this a stir. Okay, so I've got some salmon here, and I'm just going to take this out of the package and add it to some paper towels to dry off. Again, I'm going to be making this in my air fryer. If you've never tried to make salmon in the air fryer before, it's super easy and it comes out really great each time. If you don't have an air fryer, just go ahead and either cook this in the oven, or you could also sear it in a skillet. All of them are good. So for the salmon fillets, I'm just going to season these really simply with salt and pepper. You could get more fancy with this, but obviously that's going to be more ingredients. Okay, so here is my seasoned salmon. I just put it on some foil in the air fryer, and I just like to use the fish button, which I believe cooks it at like 375 for 8 minutes, which normally ends up being just about perfect. Here is my rice after it was done cooking. My pot is sliding around here, but you can see that it is perfectly cooked, nice and fluffy. To the rice, I'm going to add some rice vinegar, and I also added some salt and pepper and some sesame oil and just gave that a stir to season it. Here is the completed plate. We have the seasoned rice with the salmon on top and some cucumber salad on the side. Highly recommend this super simple recipe. Once again, my kids wolfed it down. I will definitely be making this one again. Okay, so next up is a Tuscan beef stew. So for this one, we're gonna need some chuck roast. This is one that I just thawed out that was in my freezer, and then I cut it into large chunks. I've got some fresh rosemary, some fresh garlic, some tomato paste, and some red wine, and I've got my Instant Pot here as well. And then we will need some like pantry staple items, salt, pepper, maybe some water, and some flour. Okay, so the original recipe that I'm kind of adapting this from actually calls for both onion and garlic, but I wanted to keep it under 5 ingredients, so I decided to omit the onion and use just garlic because I felt like it would have more flavor that way. But if you have onion on hand, I think you can obviously add some to this and it would be just fine, although I don't think it's absolutely necessary. So some of you guys have asked me about this little garlic peeler before. It's just like a little rubber tube that I got on Amazon, and it works really well to peel garlic. I have seen before where people like put cloves of garlic in a jar and shake it up and the peels come off. I've tried that several times and it's never worked for me, but maybe I'm just doing it wrong. I have no idea. So anyway, I'm gonna tediously peel about 12 cloves of garlic, and then I'll show you how we put this together. Okay, so I've got my Instant Pot on the saute setting, and I'm just gonna add a couple tablespoons of oil, olive oil to the bottom. And then I'm just gonna leave these garlic cloves whole but smashed, and I'm just gonna saute these for a couple minutes. Just watch them, make sure they don't burn. I just went ahead and used the whole bulb of garlic, but if you're counting cloves, I would say anywhere between 10 to 12 cloves of garlic. Okay, so these are starting to get pretty brown. I definitely don't want them to burn, so I'm gonna go ahead and pour in my 2 cups of wine. And then I'm just gonna wait until this comes up to a simmer and stir in the 3 tablespoons of tomato paste. Okay, so my wine is simmering, and I'm gonna put in 3 tablespoons of tomato paste, which is, well, pretty much the rest of this whole jar that I'm gonna add. Okay, so let me just stir this together, and we'll make sure that the tomato paste gets all incorporated and this comes to a bubble. Okay, so I'm gonna turn this off. I'm gonna add about 1 tablespoon of pepper. And then I'm gonna go ahead and add my chuck roast. I'm gonna season this with 2 teaspoons of salt. And I'll give this a stir until everything is combined. After you mix the tomato paste with the red wine, it kind of looks like barbecue sauce. Doesn't smell like barbecue sauce, but looks like it. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and put the lid on, and we're gonna cook this on high or manual pressure for 25 minutes. And then once it's done cooking, we'll do a 15-minute natural pressure release. You know what I did? I totally forgot to add the rosemary. I was getting ready to clean stuff up and I was like, I don't think I put that in there. So here we are, putting in the rosemary. There we go. All right, so the beef is done. I let it do a natural pressure release, which just means not to release the pressure until it all naturally releases on its own. And then I turn this back up to saute, because what we're gonna do now is I've got 3 tablespoons of flour in this measuring cup, and I'm gonna add about 1/2 cup of the cooking liquid to there. And then I'm just gonna whisk this up until it forms a paste. And then the flour is gonna go back into here, and I'm just gonna stir it around until it thickens into a gravy. And then I'll taste it, add more salt and pepper if it needs it. Super easy, it smells really good. I think you could probably make this with whatever roast you have, you know, whatever's on sale or whatever you have in your freezer. If you have like an arm roast, chuck roast, I even think you could probably make this with sirloin. Rosemary sprig out. Okay, so I tasted this. It does not need any pepper. I think that it's already spicy enough with all the pepper that I added to begin with, but I am gonna add the remainder of the rosemary, so just about another, I don't know, couple teaspoons or so. Give this a stir. All right, so here is my completed Tuscan beef stew. Yes, I know it doesn't look very impressive right now, but that's because I'm actually meal prepping this for later this week. So here's the deal with this. As made like this, obviously it's 5 ingredients. However, you probably want to serve it with something like mashed potatoes or egg noodles or rice. If you're living that keto life, you could do mashed cauliflower or rice cauliflower. But the important part is that it tastes good. And I'm going to put some foil on this and put it in the fridge. And when I want to make it during the week, I can just pop it back in the oven, heat it through, make some noodles, make a veggie, and boom, we've got dinner. So highly recommend this, especially if you've got some wine to use up. You know, sometimes you have like half a bottle of red wine you don't know what to do with. This would be perfect for that and to use up some beef.
All right, thank you guys so much for joining me on today's Instant Pot video. Let me know if there are any of these recipes that you are wanting to try. I'll have all of them linked in the description box below, so check those out, as well as Rocket Money if you want to get better control of your spending, cancel unwanted subscriptions, set a budget. It's just an all-in-one platform that is totally awesome, so make sure that you check out that link in the description. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.